It not only affects our share in the world to come, hoping for the messianic redemption prepares and purifies us for Messiah's coming. It helps to keep us awake and alert. According to Jewish tradition, Israel fell asleep at Mount Sinai as they prepared to receive God's revelation. In order to never make that same mistake again, there is a custom among Jewish people to stay up all night on the evening preceding Shavuot, Pentecost. We correct what we did in the past by staying up all night in eager anticipation of meeting the Lord. The first followers of Yeshua also fell asleep at a critical juncture. They fell asleep in the Garden of Gethsemane, even though the Lord entreated them to stay up all night in prayer with him as he was coming into such a critical hour. In the Jewish prayer, the Chadodi, which is a Sabbath hymn, we recite, "Awaken, arise to greet the new light, for in your radiance the world will be bright." We never want to fall asleep and not be prepared to meet God, to meet our Messiah. Hoping for the messianic redemption helps to ensure that we stay sober and alert if we really believe that he is coming this day. Not only does it keep us alert, but it also helps to keep us holy. Wouldn't you live a little differently if you knew that Messiah was coming today, if you knew you were going to have to stand before him? And it also keeps us happy. The Bible exhorts us, the psalmist says, "Ivdu et Hashem b'simcha," serve the Lord with joy and gladness. The messianic hope is a great source of joy and is a foundation for gladness. A famous Rebbe passed away, and all of his disciples were gathered there to mourn their loss. Several days after the rabbi passed away, his possessions were distributed among family and friends. One got his talit, his prayer shawl. Another got his tefillin, his phylacteries. Another received his books. And one of his disciples, who was too shy to ask for anything, wound up with the Rebbe's clock. As he was traveling home, he came to an inn, and while he was there, he was robbed of his wallet and of his possessions. The only thing that remained was the clock that he received from the Rebbe. He went to the owner of the inn and he said, "I don't have any money to be able to pay you, but how about I give you this clock in exchange for my stay?" The owner reluctantly agreed and hung the clock on the wall in the room. Several months later, the grandson of the Rebbe was passing through and stayed at the inn. All night he paced back and forth and could not sleep. In the morning, the innkeeper confronted the rabbi's grandson. "Why did you not sleep last night?" "Where did you get this clock?" asked the grandson. And the innkeeper related the story. "I knew it," he responded. "The clock belonged to my holy grandfather. It is a very special clock. All the other clocks in the world mark time from the past. They count down our days. They say we are one day closer to death. We are one day older. This clock, however, ticks forward. It ticks toward the final redemption and the coming of the Messiah. And every time I went to lay down to sleep, the clock reminded me how soon we are to the coming of our Messiah. I was filled with such joy and anticipation. How could I not sing and dance and celebrate his imminent return?" Hoping for the Messiah should be cause to celebrate and to rejoice, because every minute, every hour, every day, we are closer to his return and the establishment of his kingdom. Another reason why it is so important to cultivate a messianic expectation is that the redemption of Israel and the nations depend upon it. Many Jews died, according to our sages, during the 9th plague in Egypt, the plague of Hoshek, darkness. Some of them say 1 out of 5. Some of them say 1 out of 50. What was the reason for this judgment upon Israel, for the deaths of these individuals? It was because they did not desire to leave. They desired to stay in Egypt more than they desired to be redeemed. What was true in the days of Egypt is also true today and in the final redemption. Messiah will not come back again, Yeshua says, until we cry out, Baruch haba b'shem Adonai. Blessed be he who comes in the name of the Lord. Hoping for the Messiah and welcoming him and wanting him to return precedes the actual coming of Yeshua. There are some practical ways that we can apply this commandment to our lives. First, we need to believe that the Messiah can come at any moment, that there is nothing impeding his return. Secondly, we need to beg and plead and demand for our Messiah to come. There was a famous rabbi who lived in a big city, and people from a smaller town came to him and they said, Rabbi, we really want you to come and be our leader. And he said, no, I'm very happy where I am. They responded by saying, there are 30,000 Jews in our town waiting for you to come. He thought for a moment and he arose and said, if 30,000 Jews are waiting for me to come, how can I stay here? And he arose and he went. If this rabbi went because 30,000 people requested his coming and he couldn't deny it, how much more so if we pleaded and begged God to send the Messiah, would we see his return?